Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Grubby versus DarkFoRce, StarCraft World IT King of the Hill, powered by CM Storm. We have Grubby versus DarkFoRce, Protoss versus Zerg. First map is Terminus, and as you can see, the German Zerg player is starting at the 12 o'clock start position, whereas the player from the Netherlands, Grubby, started at the 6 o'clock position. So the players are spawning cross position, and DarkFoRce is kind of known for his all-ins. No, not really for his all-ins, but that he's perfectly capable of playing the occasional all-in, the occasional 6 pool, and the occasional 7 pool. There were quite a lot of players that actually had to deal with exactly that problem earlier on already. So let's have a look at what he's up to in this game. Right now he's on 12 drones. Grubby started with his first pylon and immediately started scouting as well. He's going to scout the position to his right first and then advance to the top position where he will find DarkFoRce's hatchery. Yep, right now the Zerg player on this map, he can obviously decide to go for a 15 hatch. That would be perfectly fine, but still you have to be careful of Protoss that starts out with a Forge first, which is why DarkFoRce is starting with his extractor. Will add the spawning pool fairly soon, and right now is scouting with a drone. What we've been seeing in the last few weeks is also a build that hasn't been used here, but I want to mention it anyways. It's mainly used against Terran to avoid the threat posed by a bunker rush, that you start with the spawning pool at roughly 14 and immediately start building a hatchery after that. You're not waiting for gas, you're not producing additional drones, you're not waiting for the first Zerglings, you're immediately starting with the hatchery after the pool. And like that you get the hatchery a little bit later and the pool a bit earlier, so you can defend against a bunker rush, for example. You could do the same thing against the Protoss player and just try to get those early Zerglings in order to kill a probe that's trying to cannon rush you, for example. Of course, you still need to pull some drones off minerals. That's basically unavoidable. In the meantime, we have Grubby starting off with the Nexus first and adding that Forge, the Forge and the first gateway. And this is a strategy that has been used by Protoss lately, and many Zerg players have actually tried just to play the occasional 10 pool in order to beat that strategy. In short, if you start as a Zerg player with a 10 pool and you're facing a Protoss player that's starting with a Forge first, it's basically impossible for the Protoss to defend against your rush. It's basically impossible. Doesn't matter if you play on Terminus, if you play on Tal'Darim or whatever map. If you start with a 10 pool and the Protoss player decides to play Forge first, he will be in a hell of trouble. And if he actually starts with the Nexus first, then he has lost the game before it even started. So Grubby kind of lucky here that DarkFoRce went for a standard game and didn't decide to rush him early on. Played with a kind of a ballsy opening. Should definitely add another pylon over here. Right now, all of the structures are only powered by the well-known Atosis pylon. And we have the cybernetics core already being built. In the meantime, of course, DarkFoRce also tried to get a second base up. He has a hatchery in production and the queen as well. Second queen is coming. Like it. Gas is on its way, nearly done by now. And we have additional drones for the Zerg player from Germany. Let's have a look at the APM. DarkFoRce is on 150 average, whereas Grubby is on 110. Second queen just popped out, immediately starts to spread creep between the two bases. Like that quite a lot. Would love a third queen, and as regular viewers will probably know, I'm a huge fan of a third queen. I think it's so essential that you have a good creep spread. But DarkFoRce is one of the Zerg players that really focus a lot on spreading his creep, so I'm not worried about that. He will add another queen, and actually, even if he doesn't, he will make sure that creep is spread. He's adding a third base by now. He's adding a third base. He knows that his opponent is starting with 2 bases, so he's actually trying to get ahead in economy by adding a third hatchery really early in the game. As you can tell, both players are kind of focusing on their economy right now. We have 2 army supply against 4 army supply, which is basically nothing against nothing, and 34 workers for both sides, so that's quite a lot. And they both just try to get a decent economy up and running and then produce additional units and of course tech the hell out of this game. We have the first sentry and the Stalker. Grubby should produce additional sentries, which is exactly what he's doing right now while researching the warp gate upgrade, because he needs force fields if DarkFoRce should actually decide on Banelink bust him. and Grubby is kind of safe by now. He already has 2 sentries, the third one is on its way, and Grubby is also trying to get that third base. And there's one Zergling just scouting a little bit. DarkFoRce doesn't have an Overlord in place to scout that scout that third base, but well, we'll see if he actually. I would have expected him to place an Overlord over there, because he's kind of well known for scouting a lot with Overlords as well. Right now he's just spreading his creep, he's getting his third base as well, he's teching to his lair, we have another Queen on its way, and of course Grubby in the meantime started his first upgrades. He's going for the +1 attack upgrades for his ground units, and in the main base of the Zerg player, as you can see, Evolution Chamber is being built. DarkFoRce is trying to get additional gas in order to be able to get upgrades, to get Mutalisks, for example, just to get all those gas units that he will need later on. That's why he's now taking 3-4 gas, and we have a Roach Warren on his way by the way as well. So let's have another look at the queen count. We are on 3 queens by now, and DarkFoRce is, well, kind of neglecting his creep spread. We are at the 8-minute mark, 8:30. And I have to say that usually by now the creep spread of DarkFoRce is a little bit superior than what we're seeing right now. Let's have a look in the main base of Grubby. There's not too much happening, not too much going on. Grubby is just adding additional gates. He's adding 8 gates, 8 additional gateways. That's pretty impressive. That's quite a lot, and a Templar Twilight Council as well. While DarkFoRce is getting the first Roaches, he's getting the Burrow upgrade, he's getting Roach Speed, +1 attack, and additional Spine Crawlers as well. So preparing for a push of the Protoss player, trying to get an army going, and we have 89 supply for the Zerg player, 79 for Grubby right now. So both players decided to get some units as well. And DarkFoRce is on 72 workers by now. Grubby is still on 58. And let's see how this is going to turn out. Thing is, as a Zerg player, you always have to make sure that you don't overdrone. Overdroning is pretty easy if you're a Zerg, and you should cap your units reckoning at around 80 workers. That's about it. I mean, if you're on 3 bases, you can also just go for 70. There has been quite a nice thread on Team Liquid by Sheth. He talks about how much drones you need at one base, about saturation in general. And the thing is that around 24 to 26 drones seems to be about the best thing you can do at one base. So having about 75 drones is quite nice. Here come the Drow Roaches, and with the superior range, the cannon can't hit them, and they're just taking out the Forge before the armor upgrade is done. So very well done by DarkFoRce, and Grubby is adding another Forge as we speak, as well as the robotics bay. The robotics facility. And once again, we have the Roaches for DarkFoRce. Grubby going in, getting his Guardian Shield up, and the first force fields retreating now after the Zerg basically realized that he doesn't stand a chance in this position. But DarkFoRce already trying to get a 4th base. He's going for the hatchery. He's adding additional upgrades. He's going for Hydralisks, researching the Hydra range as well as the speed for the Overlords. So and a second evolution chamber is coming up as well. I like it. He's on 152 supply. He has quite some minerals. He's on 500 right now, 200 gas, and now he's streaming in once again with his Roaches. This is a pretty straightforward game. So both players are just focusing on their economy early on, and after a while start to tech their units and just produce a large army. The destructible rocks will be gone in a second. Grubby is moving out, is moving in with all those stalkers, and immediately DarkFoRce trying to attack. He's trying to attack, but he doesn't have the tunneling claws just yet and is retreating with his army, losing a lot of Roaches, but the rocks are gone. And now Grubby is moving in, trying to take out as many Roaches as possible, using additional force fields. Grubby with a blink, trying to blink after his opponents, kill additional Roaches. He was able to take out a lot of them. DarkFoRce lost 29 units, 2,900 resources, whereas Grubby only lost 1,300. So that's a huge difference in resources lost right now. And we have the +2 attack upgrade for Grubby's army. We see the first Immortals being built as well. Grubby taking possession of the Xel'Naga watchtower, and DarkFoRce is building additional units. He's going for this Roach Hydralisk combination, researching the +2 attack upgrade as well as the +1 armor, and he has 4 bases by now. Let's have another look at the army and worker supply. We are on 95 army supply for DarkFoRce, 73 for Grubby. And I'm very sorry for the overlay glitch. I'm just realizing that Grubby changed colors during the countdown, so I fixed that in the overlay. I hope you can forgive me. And right now, Grubby researching Psionic Storm. He added the Templar Archive to his Twilight Council, and the 4th base for the Protoss player will be up pretty soon. So DarkFoRce should really try to do something about that. You don't want to face a Protoss player that's on 4 bases, because he basically can tech to whichever unit he desires. Right now another fight approaches. Grubby with the Guardian Shield once again. The Immortal in the back is helping out quite a lot, and here comes Grubby. The force fields, beautiful force fields by Grubby, really well done, but he's so far behind in supply. He's 50 supply behind, and he has a lot of Stalkers nonetheless. But DarkFoRce is in a beautiful position now with all those Hydralisks. He has to be a little bit more careful though. The Roaches get annihilated by the Stalkers. Now only the Hydralisks are left, and Grubby with some amazing blink micro is retreating now. He was able to kill a lot of units, but has to be careful. Those Stalkers are in a lot of trouble. Lings are streaming in to help out the Hydralisks and Roach to provide a decent meat shield. Here come all those Lings, and the first storm immediately hits them. Very well done, and Grubby is blinking like a god once again, taking out so many units, and off creep the Hydralisks are in a lot of trouble now. One after another dies. The reinforcements are being sniped by these Stalkers. Very well played by Grubby. That was amazing, but still he's behind in supply. He's on 138 against 118, but now Grubby able to close the gap in supply. Both players on roughly 140 supply. We have DarkFoRce tacking to tier 3. He's tacking to his lair. Added the infestation pit. No upgrades yet though. In the meantime, we have the evolution chamber. Well, kind of lazy. There's another armor upgrade he could get. He should get, to be honest about it. And we have the 4th base for DarkFoRce coming up. And Grubby is in a very good position right now. He lost this expansion. He basically had to give it up, but he's adding another Nexus right up here. And here comes DarkFoRce once again with a lot of Zerglings, with Roaches, and of course he will be adding Hydralisks as well. While Grubby should maybe research Charge. I mean, if he's playing now a little bit Zealot heavier, he should research Charge as well. He didn't do so yet, and we have him on 2 attack upgrades and 1 armor upgrade. We have +1 melee attack for the Zerg player being researched as well. 12 additional Roaches being built, and the Hive upgrade is nearly done. Let's have a look at the army supply. 120 against 110. DarkFoRce is basically maxed out already. He's on roughly 80 workers, and here comes the Zerg player once again trying to snipe those Immortals. Grubby retreating, and the Immortals are safe for now. There are about 5 Immortals. How many are there? Yeah, 5. 5 Immortals, 15 Zealots. We have 23 Stalkers and 4 High Templars as well. And now DarkFoRce is just trying to position himself. He's trying to get into a good position against the Protoss player and maybe snipe those High Templar or just deal some damage. And we have a very nice move by DarkFoRce. He's going for a Nidus network. He's going for a Nidus network, and I love that. I really love that. It's one of the buildings that's definitely underused by Zerg right now. And we have 1 Overlord in position in the back of the 3rd base, so he could try to get a Nidus worm over here, but there's another cannon being built, so this is not going to work. Grubby on the move though. He's trying to attack, trying to take the initiative, and DarkFoRce is going for the base trade, losing his first base to Grubby. The Nidus network is being killed as well. DarkFoRce reached tier 3. He's going for Adrenal Glance. He's adding a Spire, getting the +2 armor upgrade, Pathon Glance as well. And here comes the army of DarkFoRce. Roach and Hydralisk streaming into the main base of Grubby, taking out those pylons. The Tosis pylon is down. The Cybernetics core as well. No more Stalkers for the Protoss player. His 3rd base is already down, and we have the 2nd base under a lot of pressure right now. But Grubby streaming into the main base of the Zerg with all those units trying to get up the ramp and annihilate the Hive and kill basically the whole tech of DarkFoRce. The Queen tries to defend, but is killed in an instant. And now DarkFoRce is adding the Greater Spire, but have a look at that. Greater Spire is currently morphing. Will it be ready in time? I seriously doubt it. And DarkFoRce adding 3 additional hatches at the left side of the base. Grubby taking out that Spire. DarkFoRce already trying to rebuild it. Now streaming back with his army. Let's have a look. There are 3 Hydralisks killing all those warp gates. They are already unpowered. And Grubby has 2 Stargates that didn't do him any good. His 4th base is being killed as well. This looks pretty good for DarkFoRce. DarkFoRce is just adding hatcheries all over the map. He has still 1,500 gas and 1,000 minerals. And Grubby is in a lot of trouble right now. Let's have a look at the army supplies. We have a 114 against 124. I'm not too sure if DarkFoRce really wants to fight against that army. He dodged those storms beautifully. Grubby trying to use storm a little bit defensively in order to gather his army before attacking. The infestors being saved, so now 1 fungal available for the Zerg player, and he added those 2 bases. He lost all the bases in his main, and we see the Spire, the spawning pool, and the Roach Warren. So DarkFoRce is still able to get additional units. He has a lot of gas. 400 minerals, that's not too bad, but he's behind in supply, and he's behind in supply by quite a lot. He's on 120 against 166. Oh, and then Fester's being killed. This was a huge mistake by DarkFoRce. He could have used that fungal in the upcoming fight. Grubby is on only 1 base, though. He has only this base, and it's a small one. Only 1 geyser and just a few mineral patches. Now here comes the Protoss player once again with a beautiful army combination. The storms are very, very well placed by the player from the Netherlands, and of course we have those Immortals as the backbone of the Protoss army, and DarkFoRce still relying on Roach Hydralisk, is getting additional Roaches, trying to get into position, trying to get onto creep, for Christ's sake, defending once again that hatchery. The Queen is down, as is the hatch. And now Grubby has to attack once again. DarkFoRce retreating, trying to get into a good position against his opponent, but his army size is dwindling, and Grubby is taking out 1 building after another. So DarkFoRce with a lot of problems right now. Grubby with the superior army has to clean up the map. But the thing is, I'm not too sure if he knows about all those bases. That base barely survived against the attack of those zealots that Grubby sent over to kill the hatch. And here are 3 additional units trying to take out the hatchery, but Grubby, what does he do? I think he's not aware of the situation. I don't think he's aware that those units are just idling and basically refusing to attack, but here come additional storms, and have a look at that. Oh my god, Grubby killing off so many units. That storm was beautiful. Hydralisks only have 80 hit points. They don't stand a chance against storm, and that's exactly what's happening here. The storm forcing the Hydralisks to retreat, and the army of Grubby chasing down the surviving units. Very, very well played by the Protoss player, and Grubby takes the lead in this best of 5. DarkFoRce losing the first map. Okay, here we go. And game number 2, Grubby versus DarkFoRce, and this time they hosted the correct version of the map, so there are no close positions. The players are starting at close air positions. We have Grubby at the 6 o'clock start position once again, and DarkFoRce not to his right, but to his left at the 9 o'clock position, starting as the Zerg player once again. For DarkFoRce, it's basically a question what he wants to do in this game. Usually you open against the Protoss player with a 14 extractor and a 14 pool, but you can also try to go for an early hatch as well as for a rush against the Protoss player, for example. I was going on about this quite a lot in recent casts, and it's basically that a lot of Protoss players are opening really greedy, opening with a Forge first on certain maps. We have Grubby seen doing this on Terminus, and a lot of players do that on Tal'Darim as well. So playing a 10 pool will basically kill them early on without any chance at all of defending it by the Protoss player. So it's a little bit risky. You don't lose too much economy, but you're a little bit behind early on if you decide to play such a strategy, and the Protoss player actually plays safe and therefore has an early advantage against the Zerg, which is something you don't want, but still sometimes it's worth the risk. DarkFoRce is starting with a safe build. He's going for his extractor, adding the spawning pool on 14 as well. And as you can see in the meantime, we have Grubby in his main base with a gateway and his simulator. On Metalopolis, you usually don't start with that early fast expansion that you can play on Tal'Darim and Terminus, because the thing is that the natural expansion, there is a lot of space around it, so it's quite hard to defend against any aggression of the Zerg player. It doesn't really matter if it's aggression with the Zerglings or with early roaches. In any case, you have a lot of trouble if the Zerg decides to play aggressive, because you have such a huge area to defend, and therefore most players just try to get a standard play, just try to get their first gateway units, and normally they will try to get a 3-gate expansion. It's a little bit weird that Grubby didn't place his gateway at the choke, so I don't understand that, to be honest. It's a little bit strange, because what you normally do as a Terran and as a Protoss player against Zerg, you try to wall off that choke in order to deny the Zerg player access to your base. Because if you don't do that, you can be in a lot of trouble if the Zerg actually decides to send the first links over to your base, because somehow you have to block this choke. And if the links are in your base, they will get a good look at what's happening, and can of course also try to deal a little bit of damage by killing probes. And Grubby now adding the second gateway right away, and Zealot closes the gap, so he's fine for now. In the meantime, DarkFoRce just started his hatchery, so he's going for a fast expansion as well. Kind of fastish expansion around 21, 22 supply. Then we have DarkFoRce with the second queen on its way. We'll spread a creep tomorrow, of course, at the edges of the creep as soon as it pops out of the hatch. The speed is nearly done as well. DarkFoRce in position with one of his Zerglings at the ramp, just trying to lure that Zealot out a little bit, that Zealot. And we have one Overlord being in place already. Grubby placing a pylon down as well. And both Telnaga Watchtowers belong to the Zerg player right now, so he knows what's happening on the map. Has one Zergling just trying to get a glimpse of the expansion. And let's have a look at Grubby. Grubby is adding the first sentries. He's adding sentries, and he's on 2 gates right now. He has 2 gas, so this is going to be an expansion play by the Protoss player once again. And he's playing a 2-gate expansion. Right now he's playing a 2-gate expansion, and he has the Nexus in production, and this is kind of risky, to be honest. And Grubby is focusing on getting additional sentries so that he can use force fields, but an expansion on 2 gates is kind of risky. So if DarkFoRce building is Roachborn, by the way, if DarkFoRce is pushing early on, then Grubby will be in a little bit of trouble. This is quite hard to defend, because he doesn't have that many units. Usually if you go for a 3-gate expansion, you have around 5 sentries as soon as you start to produce your Nexus, and you can set an awful lot of force fields to block the Zerg player. You start with a Forge as well in order to get the first cannons out, which is something that Grubby doesn't do at all right now. The Forge is on its way it's on its way by now, and he's adding 2 more gates at the front. So this is going to be quite interesting, but DarkFoRce isn't playing aggressive at all. He's producing roaches right now. So he's going for roaches, and he's spreading his creep in the meantime. Let's have a look at the army count and the worker supply. We are on 32 worker supply for Grubby, 35 for his opponent, and both players are roughly at 19 army supply. But a lot of roaches are popping out by now. And now DarkFoRce is moving towards his opponent. He's just assembling the roaches at the edges of the creep. And as you can see, DarkFoRce now with all-in strategy. Well, not really an all-in strategy, but a really hard push. He's getting a lot of Zerglings. He's staying on tier 1, and he's staying on those 35 workers, and is now just producing Zerglings with the speed and roaches, and a lot of force fields by Grubby already. So I'm not too sure if that was a wise decision. He needs a lot of force field, a lot of energy of those sentries just to block that choke. If that's really worth it, I'm not too sure. The first cannon is ready. Grubby is placing a second one. The robotics facility is on its way, but this will be quite hard to defend against, as there are so many roaches now for DarkFoRce, and there are more units coming. The roaches are attacking the first the first cannons, and here are the Zerglings trying to put some pressure on the Stalkers. The cannon is down. Grubby with a lot of force fields. Those sentries won't have energy much longer, and there come the additional forces of the Zerg player. More Zerglings are streaming in. A few roaches still trying to take out the Stalkers, and Grubby has to retreat to the bottom of the joke, but he was able to defend against this push of DarkFoRce. I have to admit that I think that the positioning of DarkFoRce wasn't the best. He should have walked around the expansion of his opponent, around those 2 warp gates. Grubby adding additional 2 warp gates right now, and just try to attack from the side, maybe try to take the Nexus out with the ranged units, and as soon as Grubby moves out with his Stalkers and the sentries, swarm in with the Zerglings as well. So the positioning of DarkFoRce was not the best, but he's already in process of building a 3rd base, and he's adding upgrades. He teched to Tier 2 in the meantime, has the Glial reconstitution on its way, so the roach speed won't be far, and we have the burrow upgrade as well as additional drones and of course evolution chambers to get more upgrades and spine crawlers. So yeah, well, DarkFoRce with a half-hearted attack with Zerglings and Speedlings, so he could probably put some more pressure on Grubby, and with a bit better positioning might have killed more units. Grubby trying to expand now once again. So this is quite nice by Grubby, by the way. He gives up a lot of early game aggression by getting that many expansions and trying to defend them. Of course, there are a lot of resources going into photon cannons as well, but still, he has a very, very good economy by now, and he's, yeah, well, he's not ahead in supply, but he's on the same supply count as his opponent. There's one Overseer being killed by the Protoss player from the Netherlands. He's being focused, and let's have another look at what DarkFoRce is doing. He's spreading his creep. He's spreading his creep quite well. We have an Overseer of Grubby, sorry, an Observer of Grubby on its way, and the 3rd base for DarkFoRce is ready. He's going for the drop ability, which is quite nice if you're at close positions to your opponent. So if you just load some units in those overlords and fly over that small gap between the bases, then you can deal a huge amount of damage to the enemy's main base. DarkFoRce now moving out with some additional units, just trying to get access to the Xalnaga Watchtower and kill the creep tumors in order to prevent DarkFoRce from spreading his creep too far. And at the same time, Grubby tries to get another wall. He tries to get another wall at the ramp to his 3rd base in order to be able to defend a little bit better, and is killing creep tumors once again, now just retreating. And this is a very, very crucial move. I like that. I really like it that Grubby is actually paying attention to the creep spread of his opponent. He tries to prevent DarkFoRce from spreading his creep too far because he knows about the huge advantage that the Zerg player has on creep. While fighting on creep, the speed advantage is quite essential for the Zerg in order to get into good positions and, for example, surround his opponent with Zerglings. And we have with one evolution chamber the +1 attack upgrade for the ranged units on its way. And at the same time, Grubby is trying to get the Robotics Bay in order to build the first Colossi. And let's have another look at the upgrades of the Protoss player. He's on a +1 attack upgrade already, researching the +1 armor upgrade. And as you can see, another robotics facility is being built as well. That's quite smart. So he's playing on 2 robotic facilities as soon as he gets the 3rd base, and he can definitely afford to build that many Colossus. So that shouldn't be a problem at all. And I also like the Immortals in the army mix of Grubby. Grubby with a really nice army composition. It's kind of what he used last game, neglecting the fact that he's adding robotics, that he's adding the robotics bay now to get some Colossi as well. But I like those Immortals because with a roach heavy army, those Immortals prove to be really, really important later on. And we have another base for DarkFoRce. So DarkFoRce trying to get another hatchery at the natural of the 12 o'clock starting position, tagging to the hive a lot faster than he did last game, and he also adds a spire right now. So we will see an attempt to get Brood Lords by DarkFoRce. Pathogen Glands already on its way, and with the Fungal and the Brood Lords, this will be quite hard for Grubby to deal with. I'm really eager to see if Grubby is able to defend against that, if DarkFoRce is, if DarkFoRce has enough time to pull it off. The +1 melee upgrade is being researched now, so this doesn't only benefit the Zerglings, but also the Broodlings. This is quite important for the later stages of the game. Grubby is adding the Twilight Council, and we have some Zerglings over here in the Overlord, so DarkFoRce trying to drop his opponent. DarkFoRce, this might prove to be really, really annoying, but one Overlord is just scouting, and now Grubby is retreating with that army. So let's have a look if DarkFoRce is actually going for it. Still those two overlords are just hovering over there. We have infestors being built for DarkFoRce as well as the Greater Spire. That's being morphed right now. Here come the overlords. Grubby in the meantime researching Blink and getting the extended thermal lance. And now here are the Zerglings. The first warp-ins for Grubby are in place. The first pylon is down though. We have 2 Colossi, and the Colossi will basically annihilate those Zerglings without a problem at all. So this drop didn't prove to be that much that effective. Grubby was moving out with the rest of his army, but DarkFoRce already in place with his. Let's have a look at the supply counts. 105 supply for the Protoss player, 115 army supply for his opponent, and 69 worker supply against 81. So once again, DarkFoRce with a huge lead in worker supply, maybe a little bit too much. We'll see about that later. Once again, trying to get a drop going on, trying to annoy his opponent, just trying to occupy Grubby not only in his main with his main force, but also with the drops. And the Protoss player is trying to get the goal expansion. He's trying to get the goal expansion, and here comes an additional drop by DarkFoRce. The Greater Spire is done by now. We have the first Corruptors already on the map. 3 additional ones are being built, plus 2 attack upgrade researched for the melee units. Grubby trying to attack, and in his main base, those roaches are attacking the cannon and immediately starting to focus the probes as well. And here's Grubby's main army, the Guardian Shield being used as soon as the Zerg player tries to move in. Some roaches are being trapped by the force fields, but yeah, DarkFoRce is able to move back with most of his army, and at the same time the main base is still being attacked by the roaches, but Grubby warped in Stalkers. The first Brood Lords are being morphed, and I don't like the position of those cocoons. This might prove to be the wrong decision for DarkFoRce. I don't think those Brood Walls will live long enough to deal damage. The first Brood Lord is down, the second wall will follow fairly soon, and the army of DarkFoRce gets annihilated. He lost so many units trying to protect the Brood Lord's cocoons, and as you can see, he's in a lot of trouble now. He still has a lot of minerals. He has gas as well. The Zerglings are streaming in now, a lot of them, and there's only one Colossus. He's trying to get to the Colossus, trying to kill those units, but additional units of Grubby are just following, trying to close the gap between the main army and the reinforcements, and everything gets obliterated. DarkFoRce with a lot of problems in front of his main base. He only has 45 army supply against 80, and he's trying to get roaches now. There's not enough time to get those Broodlords, and they would have been so important. Blinking up the cliff, I like it, and now he's in the midst of DarkFoRce's main base, able to take out both evolution chambers, and those Colossus are really hell to deal with. There's the fungal and the roaches, but as you can tell, Grubby is in a superior position. He's just trying to kill everything of his opponent. DarkFoRce with a decent economy, with a pretty good income, but he doesn't have enough units. His army is way too small to deal with this force of his opponent, and that's exactly what's happening right here. We have him still on 120 supply against 163. Additional Corruptors are being built as one Broodlord, but he won't survive too long. As you can see, Grubby is just blinking beneath him, taking him out. And now DarkFoRce basically has to give up his main base. He has to give up his main base, try to assemble an army somewhere else, because those units, they won't be able to take out Grubby's force. He has to assemble his army at some point and just wait for gathering an army that is able to deal with that. But now Grubby's Stalkers are gone and the reinforcements are too slow, so some of those Colossus die as well. As soon as the reinforcements are in place, though, once again he's able to build a meat shield between the Colossus and the opposing army, and there it is, the GG by DarkFoRce, losing the second game as well. Grubby taking game number 2, and in this best of 5, DarkFoRce doesn't look good at all. This is going to be really difficult for him in order to take the lead in this best of 5. Not only take the lead, first of all, he has to tie it. So, well, game number 2 goes to Grubby as well. Let's see what we will have at game number 3. Game number 3 between DarkFoRce and Grubby, King of the Hill, StarCraft World IT. This whole event is powered once again by CM Storm. As you can tell, Grubby is leading with 2-0 against DarkFoRce. And, well, what to say? I certainly didn't expect that. DarkFoRce lost Terminus and he lost Metalopolis. He has to win this map, he has to win Scrap Station if he wants to have a chance of staying the king of the hill, of winning this best of 5. And Grubby taking the series with 3-0 would be quite a surprise. I certainly didn't expect that, but Grubby just proves that he is up to the challenge of beating DarkFoRce, and he might even take it 3-0 if he's able to get the upper hand on Scrap Station as well. DarkFoRce needs to play a little bit different. Roaches and Hydralisk just didn't cut it so far. So let's see what DarkFoRce is going to do on Scrap Station. He's starting at the right side of the map. On the left side, we see Grubby in green once again. And Grubby, starting with this wall in. Overlord is just checking out what's happening, so this is the one good thing about Scrap Station, that you can check out your opponent fairly fast. If you're a Zerg player, just send your Overlord over to the other start position and then you're aware of what's happening. That's of course also a reason why Mutalisks and drop play is pretty successful on a map like Scrap Station. We have one gold expansion at the bottom left of the map, and if you don't scout, there's a pretty high chance that you'll get punished for it because your opponent is trying to sneak in an expansion at the gold. Right now we have a spawning pool for DarkFoRce on his way. He's relying on the 14-14 build once again, and let's have a look at what Grubby is doing. He's on 1 gas, he's adding another pylon, and the Cybernetics core will join the wall-in buildings as well. So DarkFoRce is relying on a standard game. He is not trying to get early Zerglings into the main base of his opponent, which is, by the way, not that successful on Scrap Station as you would think, because the walking distance between the two bases is actually quite huge. And this is a problem because a lot of players think that they can attack the main base of their opponent very soon into the game, but actually the distances are very huge. But as the choke is pretty big, most people, or a lot of players, forget to brawl in the wrong way, leave a small gap, and then you're able to sneak into the main base. But DarkFoRce isn't trying any aggression at all right now. He's going for the hatchery, he's trying to get a second base, he's getting the Zergling speed, so he's relying on basically a standard game, whereas Grubby is adding the second assimilator with 3 additional probes. Let's have a look at his gates. We have a chrono boost onto the gateway in order to get the stalker out a little bit faster. The Cybernetics core is on its way to get the warp gate upgrade. Here's one stalker killing off that scoutling, and DarkFoRce took possession of the Xel'Naga Watchtower, and Grubby is going for that Stargate. As I mentioned earlier, this map is quite nice when it comes down to air units. Drops are very effective, Mutalisks are effective, so air units are a valid choice on a map like this, and Grubby is getting that Stargate. He's relying on 1 Stargate though, he's not trying to get 2 Stargates and playing some kind of air all-in, but he's going to get... he might just get Phoenixes not to attack his opponent, but probably he's going for a Void Ray. And let's have a look at the resources. Yeah, he's saving gas, so he's going for the Void Ray. And after that, he will probably add 1 or 2 Phoenixes that will join the Void Ray as soon as possible in order to lift off a Queen, so that the Void Ray can kill the Queen or just get up some hits off on the drones. Grubby is adding the gateways as well, so he's trying to get an expansion. And let's have a look into the main base of the Zerg player. Will he be ready? We have 2 Queens. The Roach Warren is up now, and the tech to the hatchery to the lair as well. And here comes the Void Ray. It has been scouted, so immediately we have the evolution chamber and another Queen being built. So DarkFoRce trying to prepare against what's happening, and Grubby is not getting those. He's not getting those Phoenixes. Phoenixes are the usual follow-up if you play with Void Rays, so that you can lift off the Queens that the Zerg player doesn't have enough anti-air, and the Void Ray is basically the killing machine in the ensemble of the army. But Grubby only relying on that one Void Ray, trying to force his opponent to get too many queens. Oh, he's only on one queen. No, he's on two. He just tried to sneak back with one of them. So Grubby just killing 2 or 3 units, not too much just yet. And let's have a look if he's able to deal additional damage with the Void Ray or if that's about it. DarkFoRce didn't overreact. He built one Spore Crawler. He's going for the Hydro Den that he would have built anyways, because he's basically playing the same strategy he played the last few games. He's getting his Extractor now, but he only has 3 queens. He has this one Spore Crawler, so he's not overreacting to that Void Ray and now trying to defend against the army against the Void Ray, while Grubby, of course, has kind of the control over the game at this moment. He is getting the access of the Xel'Naga Watchtower by killing the Zergling. He's going to get an expansion as well, adding his tech buildings, going for robotics facility as well as the gate as an additional gateway, and the forge. And let's have another look at what DarkFoRce is doing. So DarkFoRce now replacing that Spore Crawler and adding Zerglings and Roaches, and Hydralisks are on their way. What's on the army supply? 14 to 21. 49 workers to 39. DarkFoRce is ahead once again, and researching the range upgrade for the Hydralisks. Grubby was able to get that robotics facility done, as well as the forge, and should research the +1 attack upgrade pretty soon. Maybe at one photon cannon is ready. We have 2 stalkers being warped in. So right now Grubby is just trying to play a little passive. He's trying to get his expansion up. He's trying to get the gas in order to get new techs, to get the robotics bay. Later on, maybe the Twilight Council as well. And DarkFoRce clearing that path, those 2 sets of destructible rocks, in order to get quicker access to the expansion of his opponent. Here comes the robotics bay we've just been talking about. So Grubby now opting for Colossus once again. And on the other side of the map, we have DarkFoRce with 86 army supply, and he's adding additional Hydralisks. So this mix is quite deadly as well. A mix between Hydralisks and Zerglings. Hydralisks are one of the best DPS units in the game. They deal a horrendous amount of damage to enemy units, and the main problem of Hydralisks is that they have low armor and low hit points, so they die very quickly, and you can't play, most of the time it's really unwise to play Hydralisks. So you need something in front of the Hydralisks, and there are 2 options. You can either play them with the Roaches, which is good as well, of course, as Hydralisks have a range of 6, and Roaches only a range of 3. But you can also play it with Zerglings, which is quite effective, especially as Zerglings are really cheap. They don't cost gas at all. You only need minerals, and that's basically what DarkFoRce is doing right now. He's kind of abusing that huge range of the Hydralisks in order to put pressure on the Protoss player. And in the back, there are all those Zerglings waiting for the Protoss to move out with his army. And now Grubby is losing sentries, and here come the Zerglings. The Zerglings are streaming in, are attacking, and the Hydra is still in the position to attack. As you can see, the sentries are dying. Grubby is just trying to defend somehow against this force of his opponent. Here comes the Colossus, and the Colossus is a beautiful weapon against Hydralisks, but there is no extended thermal range just yet. The Void Ray bites the dust, and here comes DarkFoRce with his army streaming into the bases of Grubby. Grubby in a lot of trouble as he's on 60 supply against 100. Those Hydralisks are really doing a number on him right now, and as you can see, he's adding pylons and cannons, but all those probes are just dying. He already lost 5 workers, and he will lose additional ones if he doesn't pay attention. Here come the probes trying to defend as well, but DarkFoRce is streaming in with all those Hydralisks. Very well done by DarkFoRce. A nice timing attack by the Zerg player with Hydralisks and Zerglings, and now he's going for Roaches, getting the Roach speed, the +1 attack upgrade for his ranged units. The robotics bay is down, no more Colossi for the Protoss player, and that's exactly what DarkFoRce wants. There are no sentries whatsoever, only stalkers and the drones. This game is basically over. DarkFoRce is able to come back. He's taking the 3rd game, and now Grubby lost the first one, and here we go with a 2-1 score going into game number 4. Grubby versus DarkFoRce. Shakura's Plateau is map number 4 between those two players. The score is 2-1 in favor of Grubby. DarkFoRce has to win Shakura's Plateau if he wants to tie the series and force a fifth game. It's the StarCraft World.IT King of the Hill powered by CM Storm, and we have both players on the upper half of the map. We have Grubby on the top left and his opponent on the top right, and I'm really curious to see what Grubby is doing on this map. Is he going for the Forge first play? He tried to play Forge first on Terminus already, and this Shakura's Plateau is a map where you can definitely try to get that fast expansion as a Protoss player. And on the other side of the map, we have DarkFoRce 6 pool for salvation. Yeah, that's basically what I'm waiting for right now. But DarkFoRce is already on 12 drones, so he's not going for a 6 or a 10 pool. And Grubby will be safe with his Forge first play. And he can play a little bit risky. He's ahead with 2-1, so he can risk playing with a build that is a little bit greedy if he chooses to do so, which is exactly what he does. So he waited a little bit. He is currently on 13 probes, and he didn't build a building yet. Is he really starting off with a Nexus first? That would be quite greedy. Let's have a look at the main base of DarkFoRce, as long as Grubby is still trying to gather out. Grubby just started his Forge, so he's not going for the Nexus first. And DarkFoRce built his spawning pool. So we have the Forge first play by Grubby, and the main thing for the Zerg player is he could have attacked this way earlier, and he already mentioned it. So it's a little bit harder, though, to attack a Protoss player that's starting with the Forge first on this map than it's on Altar, because the choke is not that big, so you can basically close it off with a few buildings. It's not too hard, but if you attack with the Zerglings and you're able to stream into the main base, then your opponent is a huge amount of trouble. Very nice block by DarkFoRce. Try to block the spot, and what DarkFoRce could have done as well, I mean, he didn't have enough minerals, and the probes of Grubby were aware of the threat that the drone posed. What you can do against a Protoss player that is started with a Forge first, you can try to build a hatchery right in this position, cancel the hatchery, and then immediately start to build an evolution chamber. If you are able to pull that move off, you can block that spot for quite a while, and the whole expansion attempt of the Protoss player will be delayed by quite a bit. So this is a valid strategy, and it's really funny, especially as a lot of Protoss players don't really expect it, and they're like, what the fuck's happening? I mean, you just built an evolution chamber right where I wanted to build my Nexus. And most of the time, if the evolution chamber gets destroyed, you can kill a probe with your broodlings if your opponent is not too careful. So it's quite funny to actually do that. We have one hatchery for DarkFoRce at the natural expansion now as well, so he's going for the expansion at roughly 20 supply. Once again, we have one queen, the second one on his way, and the Protoss player is just trying to close that gap. So here's the gateway. We have the cybernetics core being placed as well, and the Nexus is ready. The Overlord of DarkFoRce still hovering on top of the Nexus, getting a glimpse of what's happening. In the meantime, Grubby building more probes, using his chrono boost on his economy. And DarkFoRce will probably get a third base fairly soon. I mean, he has two options basically. He can try to go for a Roach Warren and put some pressure on the Protoss player. That's option number one. Just try to play aggressive, build drones up to a certain amount, and then build as many units as you can, just trying to break the wall in of your opponent. And the other option is to play economical and get a third base as fast as possible, and that's what DarkFoRce is doing. He has one drone in place already, and as soon as he hits the 300 minerals, he will build a third hatchery and probably try to get a fourth fairly early as well. We have the hatchery coming up now, and let's have another look into the main base of the Protoss player. Grubby with the 2 additional stalkers. He just warped them in. No, he just built them. The warp gate upgrade is on its way. And will the Overlord actually die? I don't think so. So he should be able to retreat in time. Yep, so no Overlord kill for this poor stalker. Not a hero just yet. And in the main base, Grubby is still adding probes. So let's have a look at the army supply and worker supply. Once again, as on Terminus, both players are just relying on their economy right now. They're not building up a huge army. We have 6 army supply for Grubby and 2 for his opponent. 37 and 42 worker supply so far. But as you can see, the main advantage is, yeah, right now DarkFoRce has the control of the map. He has both Xel'Naga watchtowers. He knows everything that's happening. He has one Zergling at the bottom of the ramp in order to scout when Grubby is moving out. Grubby is trying to get the +1 attack upgrade, and don't forget about the Overlord in the back of the base. He definitely knows what's going on. Doesn't know about those 2 gas yet, but he can assume that Grubby took them by now. And as you can see, the hatch for DarkFoRce is finished. He's tagging to the lair, and yeah, he's spreading his creep. He's adding a second active creep tumor, and it should spread his creep a little bit further. I have to admit that I wasn't too impressed by DarkFoRce creep spread in the last few games. I mean, it wasn't bad, but I was used to a DarkFoRce spreading his creep like crazy. The creep spread of DarkFoRce was exceptional, and he was basically kind of like the creep spread of Morrow. Those 2 players were two of those European players that I admired most for the creep spread, and DarkFoRce just didn't show that the last 2 games, but I expect him to do it now. We have DarkFoRce going for another extractor. He's about to finish his lair tech, and Grubby is adding additional gates, and he's getting another cybernetics core because he has to kill this one in order to move out. As you can see, he completely walled off. There's no way that the Zerg can actually break through here, so Grubby has to kill his cybernetics core, and that's why he's getting another one right now. There's one Overlord hovering there, but won't die to the... Oh, might die. Nah. Yep, just going down. So this was a little bit too close. Too close for comfort. And we have DarkFoRce on 81 supply. He has a huge amount of minerals. He has so many minerals right now because he's actually harvesting from 3 bases. He's on 72 workers once again. Is researching the burrow upgrade and getting additional workers as we speak. Let's have a look into the main base. His lava injects are close to perfect. They're really, really good. He has a lot of lava, and his queens are very low on energy. He's researching the +1 attack upgrade, and now the Zerglings are just trying to get a hit at those sentries. Grubby moving out of his main base now. He killed the cybernetics core after the other one was built, and Grubby has to try to take a 3rd base. He doesn't want to wait too long because his opponent... Oh, and here come the Zerglings streaming into the base. Very, very well done by DarkFoRce. Very nice run by, and as soon as the units are warped in, he's heading for the main base, just trying to kill probes, and he's able to do so. He's killing probes, and he's annoying the hell out of Grubby now. That's basically the main point, and all those zealots are in a good position, but still, if DarkFoRce starts focusing on those Zerglings, he will be able to take a lot of units out, kill a lot of probes, and as you can see, Grubby's losing a lot of mining time. He's losing a lot of mining time, and now the Zerglings are attacking, but there's the +1 attack upgrade already done for the Zealots, so they can 2-hit a Zergling as long as you are not, as the Protoss is 1 attack upgrade ahead, and in regards to the armor upgrades for the Zerg player, there's no problem for the Zealots to deal with the Zerglings, as they can simply 2-hit them. Grubby's trying to take that 3rd base I was talking about earlier. He really needs the 3rd base. He doesn't want to waste too much time in his main base. He needs to get a grip on what's happening. He needs to get a good economy. He knows that the Zerg player basically has the advantage right now, and he wants to destroy that. DarkFoRce is ahead with 40 supply, but he's losing a lot of roaches to those force fields of his opponent, adding a 4th base though. And once again, as you can see, we have a Hydralisk den being built by DarkFoRce, and he's already adding the first Hydralisks, while the creep spread is quite decent by now. And here come the stalkers of his opponent once again. The expansion is not done yet. We have Blink on its way. We have Mortals, and DarkFoRce shouldn't wait too long. He has the upper hand right now. He's ahead with 23 supply, 23 army supply. He should really start to attack fairly soon, because as soon as that expansion pays off, as soon as Grubby has those 2 Vespene geysers, he will be in a pretty comfortable position. He can go for additional techs, and that's exactly what he's doing now. He's going to the robotics bay. He will add a Templar archive as well, and DarkFoRce has to try to take out that 3rd base, and he's adding a spire. He's going for the infestation pit. getting the overload speed. The 4th base is ready. He already has those 2 extractors and is starting to mine out of them. So that's not too bad. DarkFoRce still in a good position. He's on 190 supply. He will be on 200 pretty soon. And his upgrades, that's the one thing that I don't like about him right now. He's not continuously researching upgrades. Oh, here we go now. Here we go. So he's adding the 2nd evolution chamber. He's going for the hive tech, and he's adding the +1 armor attack upgrade for his melee units. So I take it back. Didn't say anything at all. He's actually now adding upgrades, a lot of them. We have a force of Grubby down there. The observers providing sight on top of the cliff, and here come the stalkers. They blinked up the cliff and are attacking the expansion of DarkFoRce now. And DarkFoRce is going for the main base of his opponent. He's just going for the main base with all he has, and he's caught out of position. Those Hydralisks won't survive that attack by the Protoss player, and some of the units of DarkFoRce are trying to take out the Colossus, dealing a huge amount of damage. The Colossus is down, and Grubby struggling to defend his base. He has to retreat. There are simply too many units for DarkFoRce, and the Immortals are dying left and right. At the same time, Grubby was able to take out that base of his opponent and is now moving towards the ramp, trying to get to the 3rd base as well. And here's DarkFoRce fighting a losing battle against the Blink Stalkers of Grubby, fighting in midst of those cannons. But in the main base, there are still units of the Zerg player taking out those probes. Everywhere on the map, there are fights going on. We have the Stalkers being annihilated by the reinforcements of DarkFoRce. The Roaches and Hydralisks dealt with the threat already, and Grubby was able to take out the Zerg units at his 3rd base. But in the main base, there are still some Zerglings and 2 Roaches trying to deal damage to the economy of the player from the Netherlands. And now Grubby has to retreat once again, and here is the 2nd attack, the 2nd wave of attack by the Zerg player, hitting the expansion, the 3rd base, and he's sniping it. He's sniping the 3rd base, and the Nexus is gone. And now we have Grubby on 82 supply against 150. DarkFoRce is getting his 4th base again. He's taking to the Greater Spire, adding the armor upgrade +1 as well, getting 16 Roaches. He's on 57 army supply against 41, and even though Grubby was able to take that force out, I don't think he will be able to take the game. As you can see, DarkFoRce is consistently trying to get additional upgrades. He's taking to the +2 attack upgrade. He's getting corrupted. The Greater Spire is nearly done. We will see Broodlords once again, and the 4th base will be done fairly soon as well. So this is a very, very nice play by DarkFoRce. He's just attacking left and right. He was attacking the main base. He was attacking the natural expansion and the 3rd base. Grubby with the Stalkers in the back, just moving them up the cliff with the help of 1 observer that provided sight, was kind of trying to do the same thing, but DarkFoRce was more effective as his army was a lot bigger than the army of his opponent. So very well played by the German player, but yeah, Grubby is holding up nicely. He's on 97 supply against 143. And the one thing that's really in favor of Grubby is his excellent micro. He's blinking with his Stalkers. It's very, very amazing. All those fight space actually able to focus on the fight. He's just blinking with single units the whole time, trying to rescue as many ranged units as possible, and he's doing so much damage to the Zerg player. But still, he's kind of fighting a losing battle now, and he has to get a grip on the situation. He needs Actually, I don't know what he needs. He needs a small miracle because he's behind in upgrades, he's behind in the economy, and he's behind in the army supply as well. And as soon as those Broodlords are ready, he will be in a lot of trouble. His only option of killing those Broodlords is blinking beneath them and taking them out with the Stalkers. But if he does so, he will be fighting in midst of the ground army of the Zerg player, and that will be his downfall. I can guarantee you that. But what is DarkFoRce doing? That's not enough ground units. That's not enough ground units. I don't think he should fight in that position, but additional Broodlords are just joining the fight, and now there are 6 of them, and this is quite an amount to deal with. This is not very easy, especially if you don't have that many units, if you don't have that many Stalkers and upgrades. So right now he's in a lot of trouble. Grubby needs to pull off some miracle. Now he's blinking in. That's exactly what I said. He's blinking up the cliff, which is a very, very smart move. As soon as those Brood Lords are down, the Zerg player will be attacked from above as well. And Grubby able to take out that force using Blink to his maximum once again, saving that Colossus as well. And DarkFoRce is just adding additional units. He's trying to build up a new army. And I was kind of surprised about how little the amount of roaches actually was in that fight. But we have the +1 attack upgrade coming for the Flyers as once. Not too many upgrades for the ground units, but still, he's on 2-1 upgrade so far, and Grubby is still on 1 attack upgrade. That's about it. Let's have another look at the army and worker supply. 81 against 51 and 73 against 56. And here comes the Protoss player trying to defend. Trying to defend that third. That third is crucial. If he loses the third base now, Grubby is basically done, and he knows that. So he's gathering all his units at the third base. And the Zerg player researching the melee attack upgrade number 2, and we have 40 Zerglings on the way. The Temple Archive is added to the structures of the Protoss player. And if Grubby is actually able to get Storm, then the Zerglings, will be killed in about 0.5 seconds, but I don't think that he will able to do so in time. He's researching Storm right now, but we have Brood Lords. Only 3 of them, a 4th one being morphed. There's another upgrade for the Brood Lords being researched, the armor upgrade number 2 for the ground units as well, for the Zerg player. He's on 176 supply. He could build more units, and he definitely should do so. He's researching the Pathon Glance upgrade right now, so he wants to get Fungal as well. And as I already mentioned in game number, I think it was number 2, Fungal and Infestors are a deadly composition, a deadly army composition. Doesn't matter if you're facing a Terran player or a Protoss player. If you have those 2 units and you have some decent micro, you can actually take out so many units. It's ridiculous. Right now we have another attack coming up by the Zerg player, and his upgrades are halfway done. Here are the Brood Lords, and will he actually attack the third base of his opponent? Doesn't look like it, to be honest. We have Grubby with a War Prism and 2 Stalkers in the back, but there are Corruptor and Zerglings in position, so he wasn't able to deal any damage at all, and is still waiting for an opening. We have a 4th base coming up for Grubby, and DarkFoRce neglects to get a 5th base, which is exactly what he does right now. And here we go. Here comes the fight. Storm is done. And now Grubby is storming his opponent, and this game is not over. Grubby is just dealing as much damage as possible, trying to retreat with those Colossi, and always blinking with the Stargers. These are some beautiful blinks for the player from the Netherlands, but the Colossus are down, and now the Stalkers are on the run as well. There are additional ones being warped in, and now from all sides, Grubby tries to defend against the roaches of his opponent, tries to get to the Brood Lords in order to take them out. The roaches of DarkFoRce are in a lot of trouble. As you can see, all of them are really hurt, but he's reinforcing his army continuously. We have 182 supply for the Zerg player, 74 for his opponent, and now he tries to morph in some additional Stalkers here, some additional Brood Lords, and here come the Stalkers. But the Broodlings are chasing the Stalkers down, and there's not enough energy on the High Templar to get off additional storms. Grubby might lose the game. Right here we have an Archon being morphed, but the third base is under a lot of pressure from the Broodlords, and now all those Broodlings are basically attacking the Nexus. Grubby trying to defend his base, but there's just no way. He doesn't have enough units. There are no Colossi at all. He tries to get in with those Archons. In the meantime, we have DarkFoRce researching Adrenal Glance and getting additional Infestors, and now the Protoss player is being swamped by the Swarm. DarkFoRce kills Grubby on the 4th map. Kerrigan would be proud. DarkFoRce tying the series and forcing a 5th game. It's map number 5, the last map in this match. Grubby against DarkFoRce, Zerg versus Protoss. The score is tied. Grubby won the first 2 games. DarkFoRce won the last 2. This King of the Hill by StarCraft World IT is going into the 5th map. It's sponsored by CM Storm, and I'm actually so happy that we will definitely see this 5th game. I was kind of afraid that we were only seeing 3 maps today. And as I mentioned already in the early stages of this King of the Hill, as a Protoss player, you can open with Forge first on this map. It's kind of common by now, and Grubby already placed his pal in the perfect position for that. And with a 10 pool, DarkFoRce would be able to deal a huge amount of damage, and he is known for playing early pools against his opponent, but he didn't do so in the last 4 games, and apparently he doesn't want to change this. He's relying on his strategy once again. He's going for the 15, or well, is he? He's probably going for the 14 gas, 14 pool. He's starting at the top right position on Telegram Altar. The bottom right we have Grubby, and let's have a look what DarkFoRce is doing. Yep, he's not going for an early hedge. He's once again relying on a 14 extractor, and the pool will follow fairly soon. So no early aggression by DarkFoRce. I kind of dislike that, because as I mentioned already in the last games, especially on this map, a 10 pool is so effective, because basically every Protoss player is going for a Forge first, and you can take the Forge out, and most Protoss won't even be able to close the gap, so you can stream right into the main base and deal a lot of damage by still getting gas, getting speed, and getting the expansion if you choose to do so. You don't have to play it as an all-in. You can also have a follow-up with a 10 pool, but still do a lot of damage. But anyways, Grubby is not going for the Forge first. He's playing extremely greedy. He's going for the Nexus first, and now the probe might even die to the drone. It doesn't. The Forge is on its way, and let's see how DarkFoRce is reacting. If DarkFoRce is going for some Zergling play, if he's trying to get some aggression going on, if he's going for his expansion or whatever, this game is going to be pretty interesting. And yeah, I'm kind of excited about it. I don't think that DarkFoRce will rely on an too economic play this time again, because that early Nexus by Grubby makes him quite vulnerable in the early stages of the game, but gives him also a fair advantage over his opponent if he's able to pull it off. And right now we have the first Zerglings on their way towards the base of Grubby, but 2 more are just waiting up there while DarkFoRce is trying to get the hatchery. He's trying to get his expansion, so apparently he's getting, once again, trying to get to play economical. The Zerglings are not able to stream into the base. It's a little bit too late. The gateway closed the wall in already. And we have Grubby with 2 Nexus now, so he can use 2 Chrono Boosts, he can produce 2 probes at a time, and he will have an economic lead over his opponent. We have 21 against 22 against 17 drones right now. And DarkFoRce needs to get a 3rd base. He needs to get a 3rd base, and he already tries to attack the destructible rocks up here in order to get access to his 3rd base. In the meantime, the main base, we have the 2nd Queen. Once again, the creep tumor that's supposed to connect the 2 bases with creep. And let's have a look at the Protoss player. He's scouted by DarkFoRce Overlord. If you start with the Forge first and the Nexus and all that shit, of course you can't have any anti-air units. You need all that. You basically need all those minerals. You are not relying on gas that much. He has only 1 assimilator, and he just started it, so there's no way that he could actually have that cybernetics core or get a stock out that early. So DarkFoRce is safe with the scouting. He's just trying to get an idea of what's happening, because Grubby could go for airplay, he could go for starports, he could tech, he couldn't do a Dark Templar attack or whatever, just trying to surprise his opponent. And yeah, DarkFoRce is having a look into the main base. One thing that, for example, Soccer told me is that sometimes he's even trying to confuse his opponent and trying to make him believe that he's going for a really economical build, while he's just splitting drones on 2 Nexi. And if the Zerg player doesn't actually count how many probes are at each base, he will believe that there's a huge economical play going on by the Protoss player, and he feels fairly safe while the Protoss is just going for an all-in attack or for some kind of tech. We have the rocks being under pressure by 6 Zerglings. They will die fairly soon. And of course, DarkFoRce has built a lot of drones already. He's still building drones. He's basically using all his larva for drones. And we have him on, let's have a look. He's on 51 worker supply against 44. So he closed the gap and pulled ahead. The 2nd gas is coming up for DarkFoRce. He's already on his lair tag. And he's going for the Spire. He's going for the Spire. And this is interesting. Mutalisks. I haven't seen a good Mutalisk play against Protoss in a while, but DarkFoRce was kind of famous for it, is kind of famous for his Mutalisk play against Protoss, because he was using it on Lost Temple, on Shattered Temple, on so many maps where I would just go for a huge amount of Mutalisks and try to annoy his opponent as much as possible, attack all his bases, the main base, the expansion, and just force him into attacking and then trade bases. So this was really, really well done by DarkFoRce in the past, and he has a decent build for it. He's just expanding all over the place, is getting as many Mutalisks as possible, trying to deal as much damage as possible, pinning the Protoss into his main base at the early stages of the game, and at some point just forcing him to attack or overwhelming him with his superior forces. So this is really nice. I want to see how this is going to work out. This will be quite interesting. We have the robotics facility being built for Grubby, and DarkFoRce, trying to get his third base, is getting Zerglings as well in order to defend against pressure of his opponent. I would love to see some spine crawlers as well. As you can see, we have the first 6 Mutalisks on their way. And the main problem that you have as a Zerg player if you go for a Mutalisk strategy is that they are really, really pricey in terms of gas. So the gas will always limit you, and you need to get a lot of for example, Zerglings, or get some spine crawlers to defend against an attack of your opponent. You need something that only costs minerals, that doesn't waste your gas, so that you can focus on the Muta production while still getting a decent amount of units in order to defend against incoming pushes. Here come the Zerglings, just having a glimpse of what's happening at the destructible rocks, and there's the army of Grubby, and there are the Mutalisks in combination with the Zerglings, and this could be quite brutal, but he's pulling back. He's pulling back, and DarkFoRce is still producing Mutalisks. He's going for the +1 attack upgrade for his flyers as well. And now he will, yep, that's exactly what we expected, and this is what he does. He's expanding, and he will expand all over the place and try to annoy the shit out of his opponent. So here are the Mutalisks once again, trying to poke in, having a look, and the probe will probably die. Oh, he obviously didn't see that. And here are a lot of Zerglings. +1 attack upgrade for the Zerglings is nearly done, by the way. And in the meantime, there's one observer heading towards the 4th base to be. And in the main base, DarkFoRce should focus a little bit more on his queens and the lava inject. He doesn't do that right now, but he's attacking that pylon in the back of the 3rd base. And what is Grubby doing? Grubby is just he's relying on his stalkers. He's trying to get the armor upgrade. He has cannons in place and stalkers as well to defend his economy line. So DarkFoRce is not able to deal any damage, but as you can see, there are overlords in place, for example. That overlord knows about that expansion as well, and the only thing that DarkFoRce is trying to do right now is trying to pin Grubby into his base, just trying to force him to stay into his base while he is still expanding everywhere. As you can see right now, he's taking his 4th base, and he knows everything. He has units all over the place. He has all Xlanaga watchtowers. He has overlords, Zerglings, Mutalisks in order to scout his opponent, to check out what's happening. And there's a decent amount of Mutalisks on the field already. 20 Mutalisks, and with 20 Mutalisks, you can without a problem kill off 4 or 5 stalkers quite easily. And here we have Grubby just trying to take out that pylon, and he's attacking the stalkers. That's exactly what I was talking about. The stalkers are immediately backing up, trying to get into the range of the cannons in order to get some support. And here's one probe that should die, but doesn't, because DarkFoRce doesn't pay enough attention to it. And here's Zergling scouting. So I actually like this. DarkFoRce is scouting everywhere. He doesn't want to encounter a Protoss player that sneaked in an expansion at some point. And here's the push out by Grubby. Here's exactly what we were talking about earlier, the push by Grubby. And DarkFoRce now has to choose whether he wants to save his base, whether he wants to defend, or whether he just wants to attack. And there are the Archons for Grubby, and Grubby is pulling back with his army, so he's not trying to attack the base of his opponent. And I actually love the Archons. The Archons are a very nice touch to the army of Grubby, because Archons are very, very good against Mutalisks. They are really amazing against Mutalisks, as are High Templars. The problem with High Templar is if the Zerg player is finally willing to attack the Protoss army, what he's going to do is just fly over your army with the Mutalisks, and you will be basically forced to storm yourself, and you don't want to do that. So Archons are a very, very good idea by Grubby, because they deal extra damage to by your units. They deal a small amount of splash damage, and of course with the range upgrade in the latest patch, they are very, very effective against Mutalisks per se. Now here is an awful attack by by DarkFoRce. Shouldn't have done that. The Zerglings are basically, by the way, killing everything in the back, and Grubby trying to take that Nexus. But DarkFoRce lost. I actually don't know how many Mutalisks, but I think it was about 3 or 4 against the Cannon and the Stalkers, and he shouldn't have done that. He's on 185 supply right now against 148. Still getting Mutalisks. The Mutalisks have 1 attack upgrade, and Grubby is moving out while DarkFoRce is still attacking. Grubby is going onto the creep, and let's have a look. There are only Zerglings. Zerglings are dying so fast against Archons. There are no Spine Crawlers, nothing, so it will be really hard for Grubby to beat that army. But he's in the main base of his opponent, is just trying to kill those cannon. There are more Mutalisks streaming in. We are on 35, an amount of 35 Mutalisks, and as you can see, he doesn't have enough to defend against that. So now Grubby is losing his base, but so is DarkFoRce, because the Protoss player is just attacking. The second base of DarkFoRce, and DarkFoRce already in the process of building another hatchery. The Zerglings are also attacking the expansion, so everywhere the Zerg is present with his forces, but Grubby trying to kill the main bases of his opponent, trying to cut off all those reinforcements, and DarkFoRce on 150, 160 supply right now has to deal a huge amount of damage. He basically has to cripple Grubby now if he wants to take this game, because he will lose his production buildings. DarkFoRce already in the process of building an additional spire. All those cannons built by Grubby were able to provide some decent defense against the Mutalisks, but as you can tell, DarkFoRce just simply had too many air units and now is killing the Nexus as well, but lost his main buildings, loses all his tech buildings right now. The Spire is going to die. The Overlords not being moved by DarkFoRce will die as well. He will be supply blocked, as is Grubby. 123 supply for Grubby right now. And here once again, the Mutalisks are trying to kill that base. Grubby is building cannons left and right, trying to defend against those units. Will he be able to do so? Because that's still a huge amount of Mutalisks. That's 29 Mutalisks killing all those Stalkers, trying to take out the Nexus, to take out the base, and that's the last base for Grubby, the last mining base. But the Protoss player is already in the process of killing additional Zerg bases as well, taking out the Overlords, one-hitting them, and there are 2 bases left for DarkFoRce. He's on 1,500 minerals, though he could build additional bases on the map, something he doesn't do so far, but he has already some drones on the way, and the goal in this game, what you need to do is you need to kill the buildings, not the units. So if Grubby is not at some point trying to defend his base, he will lose the game due to DarkFoRce's ability to build additional buildings anywhere on the map. As you can see, oh, is that a probe? Nope, that's on Zealots. Okay, are there any probes left? Yeah, there are a few probes left. How many are there? 17 probes are left, but a lot of them are dying right now. And if they actually die, then Grubby will lose this game. But as we speak, DarkFoRce is trying to kill off the last pylon. He added additional hatcheries. As you can see, there's one hatchery at the bottom of the map, another one at the bottom left, and Grubby knows about this base of DarkFoRce. DarkFoRce, how many units does he have? How big is his army? It's on 56 army supply against 66. So there's a superior force of Grubby. He has very good upgrades as well. 2 attack upgrades, 1 armor upgrade, and he's losing his base. He's losing his base, and he will be revealed very, very soon if he doesn't build an additional Nexus. And once again, we have the Zerg player building 3 hatcheries. He's building hatcheries everywhere. In his main base, he's building one at the bottom left and the one at the bottom of the map that I already told you about. And here are the last buildings for Grubby. All of those pylons are dead, and there's a last pylon being built by the Protoss player. But he has to know that DarkFoRce is able to see it. Is he able to see it already? I'm not too sure, but he should be revealed by now. Yes, he knows about the pylon. So Grubby really needs to be careful. He really needs to be careful because, I mean, what is he thinking? The pylon can be spotted. There are probes everywhere, and they're trying to build pylons. Who will be the first one to be out of money? Who will be the first one to be out of buildings? This is insane. This is a great final for this King of the Hill. All those probes are being killed, and now Grubby is just moving to the bottom of the map. But have a look up there. There is still one hatchery, and Grubby will have to walk over the whole map with his units if he wants to reach that base, and I don't think that he has enough time to do so. And here comes DarkFoRce. He's splitting his Mutalisks. He's attacking that pylon already. There are several other pylons and probes on the map. I have no idea how Grubby plans to win this game. He has enough minerals to get another additional Nexus. He's on 8 probes. He's losing another pylon, and now Grubby trying to get get a last pylon as well as an assimilator, and now he doesn't have enough resources anymore to build a Nexus, so he is relying on his ability to kill the buildings of his opponent before DarkFoRce kills his. Here goes another probe. Another probe is dead. 7 probes against 6 drones. And DarkFoRce is building additional hatcheries. He's building one at the top right. We have him still harvesting minerals. He has 300 minerals still. So he could build another. Base. And now what is Grubby doing? Grubby is still just walking around the map. Where are the pylons? There is one assimilator at the bottom. There's another assimilator over there already being spotted by DarkFoRce. DarkFoRce is attacking the probe, taking it out first, and is now attacking the assimilator. Here are all those Mutalisks. The Mutalisks will take out that assimilator over there. Where's the pylon? There's still another assimilator at the top left. So this is going to be insane. This is just ridiculous. I mean, we have 66 supply against 65. Both players just trying to hide buildings all over the map. Grubby with the disadvantage that he doesn't have a Nexus anymore. But will he be able to spot that main base? He has no idea about that expansion. He has no idea whatsoever. And the Mutalisks just killed another base of his. And here is the probe of Grubby scouting that hatchery. And Grubby will probably assume that this might be the last base of his opponent. And the drone is just trying to get away, trying to build another hatchery. But I don't think he will be able to do that if the probe... No, the probe is not still following. Oh, maybe kill that stalker, but this is going to be so close. But DarkFoRce still has 800. He has 800, nearly 900 minerals, and he will be able to build additional. Build additional hatcheries. So the stalker is dead. He was wandering on the map all alone. Nobody to help him, so he was taken out, as was the base up here. And yeah, that assimilator will be taken out very soon as well. And for some reason, DarkFoRce has no idea about those assimilators. Let's have a look at the map. He has to see them. I mean, look at it. He has to see those assimilators. You even can turn the colors of your opponent's buildings and units to red if you decide to do so. So I have no idea why he doesn't spot that assimilator. He should be able to see that. But apparently he isn't. He's not attacking the last buildings of his opponent for some reason. I don't know why. He's scouting all over the place. And now he will be able to find it, but still, he should have found that assimilator a long time ago. And here we are, DarkFoRce attacking the assimilator of Grubby. And this is not the last building, as Grubby is immediately getting another pylon. He's building his last pylon. That's the last stand of Grubby. So what Grubby can do, he can just wait here and tell his opponent, okay, either we tie this game now, or you come in and try to kill it before my units kill your army. But we have additional bases for DarkFoRce on the way, so DarkFoRce will be able to gather another army. It will take ages. Don't get me wrong, it will take ages, but still, because those units won't survive. Those units definitely won't survive. All those yeah, all those Mutalisks will kill him. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Yep, here go the Stalkers, and Grubby will lose this game. Grubby will lose this game after an amazing chase. Both players chasing each other all over the map. Grubby is finally in a position where there is no coming back from if DarkFoRce doesn't just fuck up big time. So all those Stalkers will die. In the meantime, DarkFoRce is building additional. He is building additional bases, and he can still harvest. He can still get more drones. He's building additional drones. He will harvest more minerals. He will get gas, get his tech up and going, and just produce more units. So this game is over. We have 0 workers for Grubby, 12 worker supply for DarkFoRce, and there are 54 army supply against 30, and now DarkFoRce is moving out with his army, and here are all the sentries. The sentries are dead, as are the Stalkers, and the pylon is the last thing for Grubby. Grubby is hoping that this is the last base of his opponent, and DarkFoRce is not even attacking, he's just retreating. So right now Grubby doesn't even know that this isn't the last base of DarkFoRce. He's hoping for it. Now the base is down, the game is not over, and Grubby types GG. He loses the best of 5 to DarkFoRce after leading 2-0. This must be so disappointing for the player from the Netherlands right now. Very well played by the German Zerg player. Congratulations. And after the second week, DarkFoRce is still our king of the hill, and he will face another opponent the next Thursday at 9 p.m. CEST. So thanks for tuning in, and I see you next week when DarkFoRce is facing another opponent. Very well played by Grubby, but in the end, DarkFoRce proved to be the better player in this best of 5.